Since you're using vintage blankets, you want to make sure you take your time cutting out the fabric. The first thing I sew together are the shoulders. After that, I do the side seams. For the pocket, you want to measure 3 1/4 inches from the center front and pin down all the way to the bottom. Then you'll sew just the top part of the pocket, not catching the jacket. For the sides of the pocket, you want to sew the pocket to the jacket. I do about 3 rows of tight stitches just because it's a pocket and I feel like it gets a lot of use, so you just want to make sure that you make it nice and sturdy. Don't do the stitch all the way to the bottom because you'll do a blanket stitch around the hem to close it off. For the pocket flap, you want to sew the edge that will be loose first. Pin the pocket flap above the pocket 1 1/4 inches. Then you'll sew the flap onto the jacket. After that, you'll want to sew the hem, the center front, and around the collar. This is when you'll finish the pocket, so you'll want to make sure you sew those 2 pieces together, the pocket and the jacket. For the sleeves, you want to sew the upper on top of the lower, that way it lays better. Similar to the pocket, you don't want to go all the way to the hem of the sleeve since you'll be doing the hem of the sleeve with a blanket stitch and that will cover it. Pro tip, use a clear ruler at this stage so you don't catch the bottom. I do the hem of the sleeve before I insert it just because it's easier when it's a loose sleeve. Sleeves are always hard to put in, so be gentle with yourself, but you can again use a clear ruler, and I'm using a ham in order to really get in there to make it easier. Stitch around the border of the collar first before you attach it. To find center back, you want to line up the shoulder seams and put a pin there. Then fold the collar in half to find the middle point and match that up with the center back. You'll want to pin the collar with the right side facing up. Continue pinning the collar to the neckline. After pinning, you can then do the blanket stitch to adhere the collar to the neckline. It looks a little dangy under the collar, but it's under the collar, so who cares? I used 1-inch snap buttons and I sewed them 1 3/4 inches apart. You can use whatever size buttons you want and space them however far apart you want. Super critical step, you want to make sure you give the collar a really good iron, and I'm using a ham in order to get that nice curve. I'm hardcore, so I use my bare hands to cool it down to make sure it stays in shape. And there she is in all her glory, even a matching skirt. Maybe I'll do a tutorial, maybe I won't, I don't know.